Hello everyone, it is Joe here from Omnipoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. If you're looking for PTCGO codes, including the stuff from Battle Styles, make sure you go ahead and check out the Potown store. You can get a 5% discount on your orders using the code Omnipoke. For today's video, we are looking at Inteleon VMAX. Finally, there's enough lightning Pokemon disappearing from our format, thanks to the help of both Single and Rapid Strike Urshifu, that there's a bit of a safe haven for the Frosmoth decks, and Inteleon has actually been doing quite well in some online tournaments recently. I believe it won a Crushing Hammerless tournament from Pedro Torres, and also top forward another large multiple 100-person tournament. So that's good evidence that Frosmoth has a bit more safety in the game right now. Pikarom might be having a small resurgence because of this, but we'll sort of see that power struggle ongoing throughout this format, I feel. But just the raw strength of Victini VMAX, as well as Welder Mewtwo variants coming back in a big way, and just the natural strength of Centiskorch means that it's good to be a water deck right now. You do get a number of pretty decent matchups on your side, and it's not just Cincino that is enabled by Level Ball, and Frosmoth can take advantage of it as well, but additionally, you're seeing this backup draw engine of the regular line of Inteleon in the deck, which is really cool, having the Shady Dealings ability on your side, allowing you to cherry-pick supporters throughout the game, and cherry-pick some really key item cards, be it Ball Search or just buckets to get you into energy cards. So a lot of nice internal synergy here, and the Inteleon, the baby Inteleon also acts as a decent answer to Decidueye as well, which is a welcome include for water decks, which otherwise don't have many good options. It's things like Keldeo GX, which is already weak to grass, or it's trying to like Nessa loop random like Suicunes and stuff. So yeah, a little bit difficult to get around Decidueye otherwise. So having a draw engine that doubles up as an attacker in that spot is going to be pretty nice. So let's jump straight into it, starting off with the 4-3 line of Inteleon V and VMAX. Snipe Shot can do a little 40 for 1. It's relevant into a couple of Pokemon in the game right now. Things like Teacups and Bunnelbees spring to mind. There's also the VMAX, which is the main focal point here. We have the Hydro Snipe attack, which does 60 and puts an energy attached to your opponent's active into their hand. It's actually very solid. We are doubling up with a Yell Grunt in the deck as well. So this can be really irritating. If you've gone first, you can be Hydro Sniping, ADP, you can be Hydro Sniping against Eternatus. Even if they have Power Accelerated, you're removing an energy drop from them straight away. And yeah, it's some damage, setting up things like Max Bullet into certain V Pokemon as well, if they aren't VMAXing. So it's putting pressure into play. It actually really is important to protect things like Snom in the opening stages as well, because Dragapult otherwise can just sprinkle on your Snoms and you get very, very upset. So having some good energy removal is going to be super important for those sorts of matchups. And you also have Max Bullet, which is a 160 to the face and 60 to one of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Pretty good setup here. Sometimes if you think you're going to need three Max Bullets to win the game, you can point them all in the direction of a Dedenne or a Crobat to just allow that to rack up. You can do things like 60 damage into 160 into Zacians and other V Pokemon again. So yeah, there's some good synergy going on with a ton of Pokemon. And in general, this is enough to one-hit KO Victini and Senti, which is obviously what we're looking for. We have the Frosmoth as a 3-2 count. The Call for Family Snom comes in because we are relying on Air Balloons, and this allows us to get extra Sobbles into play, which is always nice for our draw engine. It also can get the Vs if we really need to. And yeah, 2 of the Ice Dancer Frosmoth. They're really just to help us tempo out more than anything, so that we don't miss an attack, and hopefully it means that we're using Max Bullet by turn 2. That's the goal, to be honest. But this rarely gets targeted, as it's only a 1-prize Pokemon, and it's the energy sticks on Inteleon, so it's pretty good and pretty safe throughout the game. From there, we have the Shady Dealers. We have a 3-3-2 line of Inteleon. The Drizzile and the Inteleon both have a similar ability. The Drizzile just allowing you to search for one trainer card and put it straight into your hand. Obviously very good for the ball search stuff. It gets you into more like Incense to get your VMAX or to get your Frosmoth with Level Ball. Can get you switch outs. One of the only changes I made from the winning list was going down from 4 Air Balloons to adding in 1 Escape Rope. And that's because if you lead Inteleon, you actually can't in any way attack with the Inteleon you started out with in the active by turn 2. But now having a rope means you can balloon something else, rope the Inteleon back and free retreat back in. So yeah, that's a little like sidewards upgrade, I want to say. It's basically a switch card for a switch card, right? But having the extra, tutor ability makes this pretty good, I think. And the rope just has good synergy when you're trying to set up bench damage a lot as well. But the stage 2 allows you to do the same, but for 2 targets. So this obviously is your ball search, but it's also your supporters as well, don't forget. So it's getting you research when you need to, Marnie when you want to disrupt, Yell Grunt as well. That's why you get away with a greedy kind of 1 count, because you know you can tutor it when you want to. Can be, again, really annoying for Eternatus, Dragapult, a ton of other 1 energy attachment style decks, even Urshifu to an extent to keep them off sniping and stuff. Obviously you do play Mew as well, but things to bear in mind for sure. And Boss, always Boss, let's not forget that. Next up we have just some tech Pokemon, the Mimikyu in here, just really because Mewtwo's a difficult Pokemon to handle, really, with our damage output being fairly low. So keeping them in check with Mimikyu, especially if we can just ping them off early, that's going to be really annoying for them. So that's just a nice tech include. It also can slow down the likes of Blacephalon. I know we're a water deck, but you do still have to care about Blacephalon, and shadowboxing their Oricorio can stop a lot of their draw, which is nice. Mew mostly in here to protect things like Frosmoth and Drizzile in those early turns against just an aggressive Urshifu, so that's obviously very good. It's strange that Inteleon's doing so well in a format where this is probably the most Mew has been played ever, and this sniper's still doing a lot, so just a strange quirk there. There are other VMAXs that can take on the shell as well, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But we also have exciting stage Kricketune, just for some nice stamp proofing, which is obviously very cool, and 1 Crobat V. Actually not playing any Dedenne GX, which is kind of interesting. It's really what we have seen from some of these level ball search kind of lists, where they play like 1 or 0 of either Crobat or Dedenne, and you're just trying to allow the level balls to take over to allow you to have that chain of supporters. So that's really nice. Dedenne obviously is a liability with the amount of Urshifu around, with the amount of ADP around, with the amount of Cramorant around. So there's a ton of reasons to not want to put down Dedenne right now. And it's actually cool that the format is already adapting to those sorts of things quite quickly. Onto the trainers, lots of ball search because you want to get the Snom down, you want to get your Inteleons into play, you want to have evolution pieces along the way. Incense obviously an incredible card because it can turn into a supporter, it can turn into your attacker or your engine, so that's just great. The supporters, like I've mentioned, all pretty standard stuff. 1 of Capture Energy because you don't get punished for playing the 1, which is kind of nice. And it, again, just gets more Sobble down, which is kind of what you're looking for. And I should have mentioned that Aqua Bullet can be an attack in more than just the Decidueye matchup. It can be used against a ton of things, because there's a ton of 70 hit point Pokemon around, like obviously Jirachi and a few other things. So doing 120 and 220 bench snipes can help with the Max Bullet as well. So not something to sleep on. It can be something that can skew the prize trade and be annoying and force boss, that sort of thing. A few things I have thought about. I've kept it very, very close to the original 60, but definitely when you have Shady Dealings on your side, I could definitely see 1 Stamp being an option in the deck, just because you can find it when you want it, which is pretty cool, but for some late game disruption. I've also thought about, more playing with the rope count a little bit, playing with some potential other supporters in here as well. Birdkeeper is another switching card kind of thing. Those are the main ones that I had in mind. Also Nessa as well. It means that you instantly get your next Inteleon, no questions asked, and when you can Shady Dealing for it, it gets it straight back into play. For water Pokemon, you could think about things like Suicune, if you want to start playing Nessa and looping it. There's some other decent basic attacking water Pokemon out here. There's Empoleon, which is new. There's obviously Warlord as well, if you want to go a completely different direction. That's a Suicune I was talking about. I'm not sure if this is still the best answer that we have to Decidueye. I might have to get back to you on that. But pretty reasonable. And even Pipstoise is low-key kind of good in the game now, because its typing is obviously very solid, and Splashmaker is really annoying for Dragapult decks and Urshifu decks, just that amount of healing that you have on your side. So you can get a bit more techy with this list, obviously the Keldeo that I already did talk about. So some other attacking threats, and then if you just go to VMAX actually, you'll see that you can basically transport this into... How am I missing this? There we go. You can transport the Inteleon part into Lapras. Lapras has been doing quite well recently with that G-Max pump. I think you need to have a few more water energies in the list, so you will have to make cuts here and there. I think things like the Mimikyu might end up leaving the list at that stage. But it's, again, just a big threat that can deal a good amount of damage. I've even seen Loki's and Blastoise doing reasonably well in some online tournaments. So, yeah, you can basically pick your favorite VMAX and kind of rock with that. But today, Inteleon is the one in the spotlight because it has earned it with some decent results as of late. So let's jump into the ladder and try and play some blue into, hopefully, lots of ADP and fire decks, because those are some of the things I feel like this deck is trying to target. Definitely, I feel like it has a more solid ADP than it used to, because you're not as Dedenne reliant, you're not as Crobat reliant. You're trying to use one prize, which becomes a two prizer, which makes them go through the VMAX, which ADP always wants to just ignore VMAX decks, right? You want a GX boss. That's the route you normally get told about, and you should be worried about. But yeah, we start with Sobble. We have Level Ball as well. We are up against an Urshi. Going first is pretty important against Urshi, because we are pretty terrified of them basically getting an energy drop down, because this Level Ball would have to become a Mew if we were going second. I think I will just attach and pass. Next turn we have Drizzile for research. I can evolve, and then work from there. Pretty solid. So yeah, all of our evolutions turn 2, which is nice. The reason why Inteleon could be decent is you're just denying things like Jirachi's in the opening from the opponent. It can be quite annoying for certain archetypes. Jirachi's certainly a strong card. Again, leads back to the amount of Welder in the game and that sort of thing. You could also consider Zigzagoon. I know we're not playing Scoop Up Net in this sort of variation now that we're playing the Inteleon line, but Scoop Up Net, Zigzagoon on its own can do some nice math fixing, especially into 70 hit point Pokemon. Alright, we end up actually ripping the incense off the top, so the Level Ball can become Mew, which is actually pretty sweet for us. So let's grab our Shady Deal. That's going to have to be a research, I think. Let's go ahead and level for Mew. Yes. And let's start evolving our chaps. We obviously need to protect our Frosmoth when we can. And we'll Drizzile. Grunt is okay in this matchup, but I'd much rather be putting damage pressure on the board. So let's go for the research. We're looking for Switch Out and Bucket, really. We do miss everything. We even miss Energy Drop, so I can't even swing for the 60, which would have been okay. The good news is I at least can make some dudes. So that's something. Because I can't even get an energy drop, I think I have to get another Snom here, so he can't just Gust KO it. So that's kind of rough. So we'll go Sobble, and we'll go... Unless I want to just Crobat for cards. I can't even Crobat for cards. I could Kricketune for cards. Do I Kricketune just to hit an energy? It's kind of bad. So we gotta try and work around this. That research really didn't give us too much help there. The good news is we're only sacrificing a 1-prize Pokemon, to be honest, and they still only have a 3-card hand. They have free retreat naturally with the Stadium. We're currently playing no Stadium removal, just something to bear in mind, but there we go. So not quite the explosive turn 2 that the hand was basically promising, because we got all the evolutions into play. We were just lacking the energy cards. They are still going to play the switch, so they can free retreat the Dreamy Revelation. That makes sense. They're spreading their energy attachments. And at least they're not bossing Mew immediately. That's the good news. They're going to research. They're going to Urshifu. So they're going to be taking their 1 prize here. We're still going to have to just do the same thing again, where we just resolve a research. Probably. I'm not seeing any other play that looks decent. So that's going to be the line. Because I want to be hitting more than 60 into these chaps. When they're 1 energy attackers, the Hydro Snipe isn't quite as good. Alright, so we get Hydro Sniped, that's fine. We'll promote this little chap. We actually draw the research, which means I can go bucket, which is nice. So we can do this. Yeah, bucket makes the most sense. Or should I just keep it open? I could research and keep the Shading Dealings open if I draw 2 energy or if I draw a switch out. It's kind of weird throwing away the out for something. Our bucket thins the deck so nicely as well. I kind of want a bucket. Thinning the deck is a lot of value, I think. So if I'd actually promoted the Drizzile rather than the Frosmoth here, it would give us way better outs to attack. This means I actually need to find the switching out, whereas if I promoted anything else, I could have just attach retreated after this bucket. So definitely should have promoted one of these. But let's just hit it anyway and not worry about a thing. Alright. So not whiffing the second time of asking, which is kind of good. If our path is going to be 2 VMAXs anyway, do I care about the 60 damage? It means if I start putting damage here, it just puts a lot of pressure on him to not put down other stuff. I also don't want to fall into a awkward Cheryl play. So we'll go like this. And see how he'd like to respond. Still kind of worried about boss plays. I could involve Inteleon out of range, but there's still 2 Frosmoth, which are looking delectable for our opponent. They do have a switch. Quick Ball Eldegoss? No. Another dreamy chap. That's okay. Right, just a Gale Thrust. Right. So their hand size is 5. They chose to Quick Ball over any other supporter. Do I want to throw some shade right now? Sorry, not over any other supporter, over any other Pokemon. I could be bossing, obviously, and take the 3, and then set up the Jirachi as well. But I should probably start setting up on this if I'm going to boss. I don't take the KO because it's at 170, so maybe I'm just hitting both of these chaps. Yeah, possible wasted 60, but I mean, it seems like a wasted 60 now, but it's good if he puts down other chaps later. So let's just play this Marnie, I think. Seems like we know his hand is reasonable, right? Because he chose to Quick Ball and not spend it on a Eldegoss or a Dedenne or a Crobat. Let's do our stuff. And this time we'll just do this. So now a Cheryl is very scary, obviously. And now they're going to Dene change. Okay. Choosing not to attach as well. They Malolana, which is a something. They're going to build up another Urshi now. They're going to go into healthy Urshi and just poke us again. Okay. What an incredible draw. So now that Dedenne is down, we're just looking for boss for game. With our spicy 4-prize turn. Stamp is a little bit awkward. We have already played both Incense and Com, so no easy way to find Big Shady Boy. We just have to kind of draw him. Oh, they're going to Mustard Pog. That's telling me it's a good deck, bro. that's sick. That's the first Mustard I think I've played against. Alright, they're going to Gale Thrust. Right, okay. So I can thin a lot of cards here to look for this boss. And we can try to get him with the Crobat dig. One boss, one shade to try and to win the game. Do I think I lose the game if I miss is the question. Because if I don't Crobat this turn, he can't win in any way. So yeah, I shouldn't actually be doing this. I should just be making a Sobble and researching this turn. I shouldn't push for win because it's actually game losing if I just miss. So let's thin this. Do I have more level balls to play? Yeah, I do. Okay. So why push for game when it can lose me the game? Let's do this instead. Let's do this instead. Let's just... attach here, I guess. And research. And we're basically just playing as many cards as possible now. I don't want a level ball because level ball isn't out to game. So let's just do this. The 60 doesn't make any difference anywhere, right? I guess I'll just hit this. I guess it makes... I could play around like a big charm or something. 2 stamps have been played, so I wouldn't expect to see another stamp here. His best play is actually Boss Sobble. Gonna see a Crobat. Hand size is probably too big for that bat right now. Maybe they can thin. What's the path gonna be? You're gonna see Eldegoss. Boss Sobble is genius. Boss is the Mew. Don't really like this decision because he doesn't need the sniping at this point, right? He could deny my out to win. If he played slightly differently there. And we did draw Inteleon anyways, but still, we weren't to know that. He basically gave us a 33% if he kills the Sobble there. Or KO's Sobble, I should say. Alright. A nice win against Urshi. A straight Urshi. Lucky for us, they're playing Malolana rather than Cheryl. Get to go first here. Always want to go first with this deck, that's for sure. We get Snom. But unless we top deck a search card for Inteleon, we're not getting that guy down turn 1. Which is a bit of a yikers. They also have no valid draw supports. If I hold the hand, it makes it more likely that he Marnies us, right? He could be... He's a Jirachi deck, so he could be a ton of things. He could KO Snom turn 1. A lot of decks can. Maybe I just do it like this and hold everything else. This is where we start talking about outs. For Drizzile, 3 Level Ball, 1 Com is an out, 2 Incense are outs, 4 Research, 2 Marnies. Alright, let's reload that Snom, I guess. What else are good outs for us at this stage? Capture Energy is like an okay draw. There's a Crobat, there's Quick Balls. There's a few things. He is actually a welding deck. You love to see it. They grab a half. We actually play no stadium removal. There's the energy to cram. They're going to scoop up nets. Beat catch? Yeah, okay. So, Inteleon V is actually quite good at hitting this Cramorant, so if we could find the regular V and just hit him for 130, that would not be terrible. Let's see what we draw before I start getting ahead of myself. I may end up just using Call for Family, to be honest. They've put down plenty of prizes for us, so that's not a big issue. We draw the wrong shade, unfortunately. So we're going to hope that Reshizard, or a switch out, wasn't part of his calculation when he beat catched. I could try and play around him sniping Sobble by just grabbing a Mew, but I think it's time to just get this boy down, I think. It's too dangerous to go Kricketune, right? Well, Kricketune can stay out of range, but I can't play enough cards. I'd end up Ice Dancing just a random guff. So let's put this down. We're still in top deck range, but it is what it is. Frosmoth showing us that textbook early game brick. It wasn't just Pikarom keeping it at bay this whole time. I was hoping the Shady Dealings was going to be the thing that smooths this deck out, but we're still managing to have a terrible opener. Alright, it's going to be Weld up front so they can double blaze for a prize. No, they're looking for switch out. Or playing towards hitting switch out. Do see a Quick Ball digging further. Yep, it's going to be a Crobat. They discard Stamp. Gotta think that's a one-of in the Crystal build, right? If he does play the Blacephalon as well. More nice deck thinning on his end, so he can grab another Jirachi and then Crobat. His board's going to have a lot of support Pokemon. Okay, he's going to pick up and then put down both and then Crobat. No, he's going to hold one and Crobat for 4 instead. Interesting. Now we see the Calm. Heatran goes in. More Jirachis come out. Dead-A change the lot. 2 Welder gone. There's an energy to the active. There's the switch. So he can Spit Shot. Could try and set up Inteleon. Or he could deny some outs. Yeah, he's going to set up Inteleon. Okay. Let's see it. Incense. Incense is a research, so I like the sound of Incense. Thank you, Incense. Let's throw some shade. Let's dance one over here. So I think it's likely this stays as a regular V. Certainly now. Excuse me. So, now that we see a hand like this, I could just snipe shot the active for 40 and make another Inteleon. That's probably the best play. How many energies do I have left? 6. Should be plenty. So let's manually attach over here. Let's get our sweet 40 damage in. And set up Cram a Banana. Jesus. Okay, 7 energies down, no crystals played yet. Board locked themselves outside of scoop up nets. He only has up to 1 left. Needs to have Weld already in the 4 cards to be doing anything this turn. Otherwise it's Beak Catch. Doesn't have much push potential. Hopefully this is the stumbling block that we needed to get back into this game a little bit. He has the energy, just not the weld. Switch Wish. Living on a wish. He's running out of switch outs now, though. 3 switch, 3 net played. Crystal's probably not what he's after, unless he was lacking that 3rd. No, just bench attach. Okay, let's dance to the bench. Certainly want to evolve the active. Don't know if I want to... Sorry, the bench. Don't know if I want to evolve the active just yet. Don't really want to give up the easy 3, you know. I think I want to keep it as a 2 that I can retreat out. Let's just make sure that the other Inteleon VMAX is in the deck before I make this decision. It is. Okay, let's yeet. We do find Big Shady, and we find Rope. Busted Rope. Okay, so we can grab a bucket. Next turn, I want to be bossing, probably. Only 1 boss remaining in the deck. This turn, I can make another Sobble. I could just grab a Level Ball, and then I Quick Ball a Sobble, get rid of the Frosmoth, get a little Sobble down. What's he going to rope into? Is he going to rope into Crobat, possibly? Probably Crobat, right? Maybe the Level Ball becomes a Mew, so he can't just spit shot my stuff. I think Level Ball's... Oh no, I already have Quick Ball, so I don't need that if I want the Mew. I think I just want the option to boss stuff. Not that I have a target in mind, I just kind of want him to be there, you know. I want him to be there for me when I need him. So this broken rope coming in. I would have dealt for it with my shade if we hadn't drawn into it naturally. So I do want this to be a sob, I think. let's think about this. So if I rope hit this for like 160, I can just hit the Jirachi for 60, I guess, now that 3 nets are gone. Do I want the bench barrier, though? Or do I just want more draw? I probably want the bench barrier. Just make the Cramorant even worse to play. If I max bullet this, I could then be setting up Aqua Bullets, which is kind of cool as well. Yeah, so he does go Crobat. We will go Mew. Is it too early to hit the Jirachi? Because he could still have 1 net. Or do I just hit the Cram, knowing that it could easily get wasted damage? I don't like wasting damage. That sounds terrible. Let's make him have the net. And it might make him pick up net this turn, which is really bad for him. The Aqua Bullet looking insane for these 3 prizes now. They're gonna half. They didn't have Weld last turn. And they're still pretty board locked. They could make some boss plays out here. Slow us down. Make us play a Marnie. They've already played 1 boss, though. Not super likely. Alright, they're going to attach retreats. Wish. Have a switch. Which doesn't look like what they're after. Yeah. We were putting the squeeze on them there quite a bit, I think. Type coverage still pretty good. We dealt with an awkward hand fairly well there. Obviously a timely incense got us out of the brick. The busted 40 poke did a lot as well. Stopped him beat catching into us, basically, which is good. And the rope was pog as well. The one of include. I am a genius. Alright, the hand is looking great. We can get another Urshi of some description. Not sure which yet, because they're playing Spinner, which isn't something I traditionally think about for Urshifu decks. Let's take our extra card. Let's say done. So this has to be a Snom every time. Again, we like going first against this deck. They can put on a ton of pressure otherwise. Like I said, they make you get Mew early. We don't like any of those things happening. We do have the rope in here, so we can make the nice balloon rope play if we want to get a turn 2 attack in. A proper job attack, I should say. I don't particularly want to bucket to thin. I could potentially thin 1 water out the deck, but I still want to draw more off the other side of this research, you know? I think 1 is probably the sweet spot. But I still have 4 and capture. So I still have like 1 more VMAX that I can make, basically. You do have to play quite careful with your attachments with this deck. Last game we paid retreat out of a Snom and it wasn't like dicey, but it's something you have to bear in mind. Of you put your eggs into the Inteleon basket and just say, live for a bit, please. So again, this matchup, depending on what variant they are, can vary. The amount of healing they have greatly changes the outlook of the matchup. So they could just be another Jirachi build by the looks of things. They had Switch in hand. Dreamy Revelation. Looking for some outs. No attachment just yet. There's a Dragger. Okay, so it's Urshipult. Urshipult is a 1 energy attachment per turn kind of deck. So the Hydro Snipes and the Yell Grunt is very effective against them. They're not likely to be playing much heal. Still possible, but not super likely. So we probably will have the luxury of just researching without without having to find the full Frosmoth combo next turn. They're going to go ahead and grab Bench Barrier themselves. So that's pretty chill. Attached to Pult and Pass, probably. They still have a supporter, actually. They could Marnie us. No. Right, another regular V can certainly come into play. Let's attach active and just research. I want to develop Snom. I want to develop Frosmoth because it has more hit points than Snom. We actually can't do that, which makes me very sad face. We did draw the Yell Grunt, so if he comes in with VMAX next turn and swings and deals with little Snom, obviously I can be hitting him with Max Bullet in the face, but I could also go for a Yell Grunt Hydro Snipe play. I could also just develop double Snom this turn so that I say, yeah, you got one, but it's only one. Yeah, that seems fine to me. Because next turn I'd probably rather Max Bullet than spend a turn Hydro Sniping. So, no Mew this turn, but I'm not scared of a Urshi. I'm expecting a Dragger to sprinkle on a little Snom here. Yeah, I'm going to see a research. So they've already played 2 switches. They need a switch or a balloon. They need Energy VMAX. I've actually seen a good amount of this deck in action because I know it's one of Jack's pet decks right now. I do know as well that sometimes it can be fighting against itself because you're trying to mix and match different cards at different times, you know? It's not always guaranteed that you'll get your right colored energy and all that stuff. So they're going to rope us. Rope is pretty interesting and terrifying because he could deal with Snom now. If I send him this, if I give him Inteleon, I'm hoping it's wasted damage, but it means I need to find Switch Out from Drizzile rather than just rip the research. Or I just rip the research and hope to find a Switch Out. Rope is such a good card, man. Rope is bust. There's so many spots where Rope is just the nuts. Yeah, see, exactly. So this is exactly what I was saying. Sometimes you're fighting against yourself a little bit with a deck. I don't think he can afford to pay retreat here. That would be terrible. I think he should just hit us with Shred. So we could do a pretty dirty play where we Hydro Snipe and Yell Grunt. If we wanted to. Are they grabbing another Crobat just to dig for a switch or a balloon? I guess they are. Hitting us with Gale Thrust is relevant because it sets up the Dragapult with the 200 hit points. So it is worth the dig, I say, depending on how many outs he has. Alright, settling for the Shred is good for us. So I think we're going to play safe and just grab a balloon here. it's kind of greedy, but we're basically set for a couple turns. Now, I can Quick Ball out a Mew as well, or I can Yell Grunt, and then I don't have to Quick Ball out Mew yet. This is a little bit greedy. Maybe I do have to Quick Ball out Mew, and I just Yell Grunt the active, which protects the Snoms. Yeah, let's Quick Ball out Mew. I've changed my mind. Give you Mew. Protect. Protect, Yell, Smack. And we'll acknowledge the Mew by clicking on it. Alright, he can make some plays here, which is quite scary for us. I mean, if he's making any Gust plays, he's just taking a prize, right? He might just Gust KO Mew with Shred. He might Gust KO with Gale Thrust on any of these things. He could Gale Thrust this if he wants to. He could just punch our active. He's going to punch. Okay. We draw level. We'll obviously play this. We want to thin the deck. We want to grab our Frosties. Don't want to put it into play because he can just Gust the one that I evolve. So we'll just give him a bullet and keep acknowledging that Mew exists. So both his VMAXs are set up for just hits with Intel. Putting myself into brick mode with the shady dealings. Maybe it was too passive. Could have just ripped a research instead and said we have good outs for Switch. But based on his damage output, you know, we just have so much time against him. We knew that we had 3 turns to top deck out, and we're drawing prize cards. So I still feel it was right to just play the I don't whiff game, you know? Terrified of boss on the Snoms, really. He's just going to Phantom. Okay. KO a Snom, probably. So this is in range of a Gust next turn with a Sprinkle. So he's actually setting up game if he just knocks out Snom here. He's setting up... Ah, no, it's 10 off game. It's 10 off game. Yes, he's going to deal with a Snom. That makes sense to me. Alright. We draw an energy card. Energy cards are good. So good that we'll play one. And we'll take our 3 prizes. And we're 1 Inteleon attack away. This doesn't even need to be the VMAX. It's only got 110 hit points remaining. We have protection on a lot of our bench now, thanks to Mew. We do draw a supporter off this and an energy card. Some decent stuff. This is basically out of commission as well. He can't attack with this unless he has healing. So the I'm just going to smack you plan kind of did pay off for us. Then again, if we just hit it off the research, it's a risk we didn't need to take. So it's one of those where our top decks weren't good, but we still did what we wanted because we knew that their damage output is just so low against us that we had the time. We built the VMAX. It was healthy, and we could do what we wanted. So they're going to make a Dragger, and they're just going to hope that it buys them time. Well, I don't have Boss in hand, which, you know, I don't have high odds because I just took 3 random cards. The Bite won't KO, but it could stop me from using Max Bullet because it has a Horror Energy. Oh. He's just going to make me have it this turn, I guess. 3, 4, 5, 6. Looking at how many energies I have remaining. Power plant, not an issue. We don't play Dedenne. Yeah, he's just going to say, do you have it? Will your 3 random cards be sufficient? I guess this makes sense. It's kind of like, it's committing, which is reasonable. Right, well, we draw very well with that quick ball. So that lets us go here, thin this, make a Crobat. Dance to Intel. Draw 5. Shady Dealings might be game, depending on what's in here. It's obviously the switch out. No bucket for us. So we grab this, and then we just grab the research for the biggest dig into the deck. I may as well put this down, right? Just in case I whiff, I can at least hit him. Looking for energy card. We find energy card. Whew, some close games today. Some close games. But yeah, that's Inteleon. Winning games, just every time, right? The Welder game, they kind of were bricky, and we beaten 2 Urshifus, which is kind of cool. So it's not just the type coverage that gets a bit better, but also potentially a decent time against opposing Urshis. Because we're basically trying to do the same thing, and Urshi probably puts down more Dedennes and Crobats, at least the renditions that we played against today, than we do, which gives us easier times Gust KOing for the 2 prize plays. So yeah, a lot to like here. It's a cool deck. Let me know if this is your favorite Water VMAX, or if you're playing some Lapras and doing big smacks of damage. I've been playing a few decks on the ladder, and I've seen some crazy-sized Laprases that I just cannot deal with. So let me know your thoughts. What do you think about the Inteleon engine? It certainly came up trumps a couple of times for us today. Very cool display for the deck, and gives you some relatively cool stamp-proofing mechanisms with the Kricketune and the Shady Deals and the Level Balls / Incenses being late-game outs. Yeah, a lot to like here. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.